Okay, teachers, this is an interactive digital math manipulatives seesaw activity for you. You're going to notice on this very first slide that there is a link on the title, and it is to the Math Learning Center, and it offers free math virtual manipulatives that you can utilize in your classroom, either virtually or in person. So first things first, I'd love for you to go and just check out this website and see what they have to offer. When you're ready, come on back to the Seesaw activity and listen to the overview of the Seesaw activity that I have recorded on this page. Next, I'd like you to toggle to the second slide. When you get to the second slide, I've given you a little homework. I'd like you to go search in Google for Reflect in Seesaw Extension. I've given you some guideline screenshots for you to get to the point where you see Reflect in Seesaw Extension and it says Add to Chrome. I want you to click and add that to Chrome. What you will notice is that it is going to show up like a little seesaw icon where I'm pointing in my toolbar up here. Now, if you ever notice that some of the things here show up and some of them don't, click the puzzle piece and you can pin and unpin things. So if I did not have the pin on for that extension, it wouldn't show up. I like to pin extensions that I use all the time, such as the Clever extension, the Kami extension. I also tend to use Screencastify a lot, so I have that pinned as well. So I'm going to click the Reflect in Seesaw extension pin again, and you'll notice that it's going to show up in this toolbar up here, never disappearing from my memory. Okay, so now what I'm going to ask you to do is go to the third slide. These are the Geo Boards, and the Geo Boards are one of those fantastic things we can use in the classroom, but invariably when you use them, your rubber bands are old and brittle and break, or your students decide that they're going to shoot rubber bands across the classroom. And last but not least, this is really difficult to do in a virtual situation, but we can still do this in a virtual manipulative. I'm asking you to click on the link, and then you're going to go play with the Geo Boards. Then we're going to use the new Seesaw extension to capture it into the next activity page. So I'm going to go ahead and model this. I'm going to click on my Geo Board. It's going to open up the Geo Board. Give it a second. And now I get to play. I can do anything I want on this page. So I can even clear off the board and start over. So I'm going to clear it up. And I'm going to go ahead and start building things on here. I can change the color of my rubber bands. I can go through and grab a different rubber band. I can move them. I can build things. You can ask your students to build pictures. You can ask your students to build geometric shapes. It's all completely up to you on what you want to have your students create with this. So go ahead and play with this a tiny bit and create, enjoy, clear, do whatever you need to do. But as you finish playing around with this, go back up to that extension and click it. When you click the extension, it'll ask you, how do you want to capture this? The whole visible area or just a selected area? So I can go ahead and capture the whole area or just the Geo Board. So I'm going to go ahead and do select. It's going to give me the crosshairs. I'm going to click and drag just the Geo Board. And what it's going to do is put it into my page. Now, if I don't want it here, I can do a shortcut. I can Command X to cut, go to the next page, Command V or Control V to paste, and now I have my Geo Board saved in my Seesaw activity. So the next one I'm going to do the same exact pattern. I'm going to go to slide 5. Slide 5 are pattern shapes. Again, amazing things to have in the classroom. Very messy, hard to keep up with, but virtually impossible when it comes to distance learning. Go ahead and click on the link, play with your pattern shapes, and then use the extension to go ahead and get to capture. the image that you're creating. But I'm going to do something a little different this time. This time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on that link. I'm going to go back to the Seesaw page and I'm going to get to the blank page. That will tell it to capture onto this page. Now I'm going to play around with my Geo Boards. On my Geo Boards, I can do all kinds of things. I can do the pictures within a picture. I can explore the multiple ways to make a hexagon. So I can come up here and say, yep, there's a hexagon. Maybe I come up here and I say, now I've got a trapezoid. And a trapezoid, if you're a first grade teacher, you know this is part of our benchmark for geometry. And you can make equivalencies of the same shape using multiple shapes. Great way for students to build spatial awareness and for you also to explore the concepts with the kids virtually when you're doing a Zoom in the class. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. It needs to move just a tiny bit more, but you get the idea. Again, we can go ahead and we can do all of these kinds of activities here. Don't forget that green triangle. The equilateral triangle is an amazingly difficult one for kids to use. Okay, I can also add equations. So I can write equations. Are they equal? Are they greater than, less than? How many pieces? We can look at fractions, etc. I can also draw. So I have the ability to draw on here. So I could draw and ask them to circle the ones that belong, the ones that maybe don't belong. And so it just gives you some general ideas of what you can do with your tools. You can even change the colors so that you can give an idea, a better idea of seeing two pieces versus just one piece. Again, come on up, use your extension. And I'm going to capture the whole page this time. And you're going to notice that this time it went onto the blank page that I asked it to. Now, the neat thing here is that you are able to have a link directly back to that page. So if you clicked here on the link, it'll take you back to the page that we were just on. So you have a link taking you to the pattern shapes. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep practicing this because that's a good thing for us to do. And I'm going to scroll down. After the pattern shapes, we have number pieces. Number pieces, better known as base 10, but also can be used for arrays, is another great interactive virtual manipulative for both teachers and students alike. So I'm going to go ahead and click this page. And now you have your base 10 features. And the cool thing about having the base 10 features is that you're able to change them from colors. So I can change colors. I can bring out my 10s, but then when I'm clicking on my 10s, I can also tell them to take them apart and to put them together. So I can actually separate it out. Now I've got my cubes for regrouping if I needed to regroup. Great way of teaching regrouping. If you needed a mat for the kids to have a base 10 mat, you can create your own mat with respect to using the wonderful writing tool. So I'm going to go ahead and move that 100 back over. I'm going to move my group. I'm going to put that back together. I'm going to go ahead and whoop, get that. I just looped those, lassoed them, and put them back together. And I can move things back together. I can slide on over to the tens place. And actually that's not coming back together because it's not a 10. So I can't really group them back until it's a group of 10, which would make so much sense. I hope you can laugh with me on that one. So now we're back to a group of 10. Oops. But for example, if I were going ahead to do some sort of a math problem, I could even type the math problem above. I can use the feature where I might do 210 and then say subtract 5 equals, and I go ahead and I write my number sentence here, now my kids understand that we can't do that math because we don't have anything in the ones place. So now that's where that breaking the tens comes together. So again, this has got so many ways of looking at how to solve math problems, etc. So definitely check this out. We're going to capture again. And right before I did it, I remembered I'm not on the blank page. So I just toggle back, click onto the blank page, and now come back here, click on the extension, capture the whole page, and now it is captured and in my Seesaw activity. I gave you 3 modelings of how to use that extension. Remember that if you don't remember to go to that next page that's blank in Seesaw Activities, you can go ahead and use Command or Control X to cut and Command or Control X V to paste. That's an option. Now, let's look at some of the other activities that are available for free. There's a clock app. Yes, it does elapse time. There is a number frame. It doesn't just do a base 10. It does a base 5. It does a sets of 20. It also goes up to 100. So thinking of arrays, and you can personalize your counters to things like frogs and butterflies and stars and all kinds of things. The next one is the number line, and the number line can have different number ticks across. It can do fractions, decimals, and you can even tell it the distances that you want between the tick marks on the number line. There is the number rack, which has some great examples for looking at covering pieces and guessing unknown parts. Also looking at potentially arrays and having multiple number racks to create your arrays. There's just a whiteboard app, and pretty much that's exactly what it's going to look like. So everything here I've either drawn or typed and created on the number board or the whiteboard app. Yes, there's a fraction app that does both bar fractions and circle fractions, pi fractions. And then there is a math vocabulary section. These are preloaded, and you can choose the different content areas of math specifically, and then you can also choose the targeted vocabulary, and it creates them for you. There's a Spanish feature in this one as well, which is really a big bonus. Money pieces is a great one. You have the choice of using kind of a base 10 look for the value of each coin, or you can have that feature disappear. So as you can see, there are a ton of really amazing virtual manipulatives. But in addition to that, you now have also been exposed to the amazing Reflect and Seesaw extension. Again, it's a screen capture tool that you can capture the screen and put it directly into a Seesaw activity. Do also know that if your student is a K through 2 student, this extension has been pinned already into Chrome for them, and you don't have to do anything with them. If you are a 3rd grade teacher using Seesaw, students will have to pin it, go get it, add it to Chrome, and do the steps that you did, but it is available for them to go ahead and grab as an extension because not all 3rd graders are using Seesaw. Teachers, the same for you. You go search and then go ahead, add it to Chrome and pin it to your extension toolbar. If you have any questions or concerns about this activity, by all means, please email me at cherylc@vacavilleusd.org. I am here to support you with digital education.